Avoidants love long-distance relationships, especially dismissive avoidants, and fearful avoidants that lean heavily dismissive. They may not even be consciously aware that they gravitate towards long-distance relationships, but they do it nonetheless. And there is a reason for this. Emotional closeness, that intimacy, it feels unsafe to a dismissive avoidant. Emotional distance feels safe. So, the physical distance in a relationship actually helps create more emotional distance. There's less pressure on the avoidant to meet expectations, to spend quality time together, and there's less emotional intimacy in long distance. Yes, you still get to know this person, but you're not seeing each other on a day-to-day basis. You're not seeing each other in daily operation of your lives. The avoidant gets to keep the distance and present to you what they want you to see. And they get to see you every now and then, which satisfies their desire for connection and validation. Many avoidants will actually even tell their partner, no, the distance is a problem. I don't really like long distance, etc., etc. Yet they still gravitate towards it. And this emotional closeness that feels so unsafe to them, it stems from childhood, where they received consistent childhood emotional neglect. This is a person that was not given that love and nurturing from their parents or caretakers in the way that they needed. Growing up in households where you don't talk about feelings, their own emotions were squashed, suppressed, rejected. So they learned to just stuff it, put on a happy face. Emotions were not welcome growing up, especially their emotions. And they personalize that neglect, growing up to feel defective and unlovable. It's a wound of shame, and shame is a toxic emotion. So how do they deal with that wound of shame? By creating walls. They put up walls around their heart, and they keep their partner on the other side of the wall. Because of their fear, which largely lies in the subconscious, although some are consciously aware of it, the fear is if I lower my walls and I let my partner into my heart, they are going to figure out that I'm defective, that I'm not lovable, that I'm not good enough, and they're going to reject me, and I'm going to get abandoned. So emotional closeness is actually subconsciously associated with rejection and abandonment in the mind of the avoidant. So creating emotional distance feels safe. That's why they often do distancing behaviors, why they pull back after a moment of intimacy, after a wonderful vacation together, things like that. But the distance, it gives them the opportunity to constantly maintain that emotional distance in the relationship. You may not even be aware that they're pulling back because you just saw each other, you had a wonderful weekend together, but now they get to self-soothe by creating emotional distance by going back to the physical distance. Many dismissive avoidants actually strictly stick with long distance relationships. A lot of them have relationship histories where it's long distance, long distance, long distance. Some don't have that history, but subconsciously they feel safer in a long distance relationship, and they do gravitate towards it despite what they say and despite what they tell you. And it's because that physical distance helps them feel safe, because physical distance helps promote emotional distance. Oh, and one more thing. Many of these long distance relationships with an avoidant, especially a dismissive avoidant, will crash and burn when something happens that signifies that the relationship is real. It's no longer just a fantasy. It is a real relationship with real commitment, real emotional intimacy growing, and real expectations and real disagreements. Closing that distance definitely can indicate to the avoidant that the relationship is real and trigger their anxieties, and they can shut down, deactivate, detach from their emotions, and completely discard a partner, pushing them away altogether. This often happens in a blindsiding manner as soon as the distance is removed. And usually, in most cases, it is the partner that is not the avoidant that relocates to live near the avoidant and then gets the rug pulled from under their feet in a very abrupt, brutal way. Now they've relocated their whole life and they just got ditched. It is a very painful experience to go through.